You could give her the world, your time, your energy, your loyalty, your money. And yet she might still walk away without blinking. That's the truth most guys don't want to hear. You can move mountains for her and still feel invisible. Why? Because if you're not giving her what actually makes her feel something, none of that effort will matter. You'll be left confused, hurt, sitting there thinking, after everything I did for her, how could she just leave? But here's the harsh reality: women don't fall for actions. They fall for impact. And if you're not creating the right emotional experience, you're just background noise. Welcome to the channel. No sugarcoating, no fluff. Just real talk for men who want to understand the game they're in and stop playing it blind. Today, we're diving into what women really want. Not the nice guy fantasy. Not what they say in Instagram captions. The raw, uncomfortable truth underneath it all. Because if you don't understand the emotional wiring of attraction, you're going to keep giving, hoping, waiting, and wondering why it never works. So, let's break this all the way down. Starting with the first brutal truth. 1. Effort does not equal desire. Most men grow up learning that if you work hard, you'll be rewarded. Study hard, get good grades. Work late, earn the promotion. Be nice, she'll love you. But that last one, total illusion. In the world of attraction, trying too hard doesn't earn you more points. In fact, it often costs you. A guy meets a woman and starts doing everything right. Texts her every morning, compliments her, constantly offers to drive her places, picks up the tab, sends flowers. He thinks she'll see how much I care. But instead of pulling her closer, he just ends up looking desperate, overeager, like he's got nothing else going on. And that's exactly what she feels: pressure, not desire. Why? Because attraction is not logical. It's emotional. She's not running down a checklist of everything you've done and assigning you points like it's a game of romantic Scrabble. She's tuned into the vibe, the energy, the unspoken tension. She wants to feel a pull towards you, not check her inbox and find another good morning text that feels like homework. Meanwhile, the guy who's present but not performing, the guy who shows interest without trying to win approval, he feels grounded. He has his own rhythm. That's the man who makes her curious. Remember, this doing more doesn't mean she feels more. It's not about quantity of effort, it's about quality of impact. Focus on how you show up, not how much you show up. Because if effort alone was enough, every nice guy would already be married. 2. She craves emotional impact, not presence. Here's something that flips the script for a lot of men. Women don't fall for the guy who gives them the most. They fall for the guy who moves them the most. That's not about how often you show up. It's about what happens inside her when you do. A lot of men believe if they're always available, always helpful, always there, that it will eventually win her over. They'll plan her birthday to perfection, drop everything to be at her side, even try to read her mind when she's moody. And on the surface, she might seem appreciative. But underneath, she's bored. Because what she really wants isn't just attention, it's tension. Not stress, not drama, but emotional depth. A feeling of being seen and stirred. She wants a man who brings presence and edge, who challenges her, who doesn't hand over his attention like free samples at a grocery store. When a man constantly gives and expects nothing, he becomes a utility. Convenient, predictable. And predictable is the enemy of attraction. The man who holds back just enough, who shows her glimpses of his inner world but doesn't lay it all out. That man creates space for emotion. He keeps her mind turning, her energy rising, her curiosity alive. You can't buy that feeling with flowers or favor points. You create it by holding your frame, by being emotionally steady and a little bit mysterious. That's what hooks her. Not gifts, not good morning texts, but gravity. 3. Nice guys are her backup plan, not her fantasy. This one stings, but you've probably felt it before. You're there for her, always. She's crying, you answer. She's frustrated, you listen. She needs a favor, you're on your way. You wait and wait, thinking she'll eventually realize what a good guy you are. But she never does, not the way you hope. You hear her say things like, "He's so sweet," or "You're always there for me." But she says those things while texting some other guy she actually wants to sleep with. That's the harsh difference between appreciation and attraction. Safety and chemistry are not the same thing. You might be her emotional seatbelt, but that doesn't mean you're the one she wants to ride with. Why? Because you're too easy, too predictable, She knows exactly what you'll say, what you'll do, how you'll react. There's no challenge, no spark, just comfort. And comfort without chemistry is death. Women don't hate nice guys. They just don't feel anything for them. And feelings are what drive attraction. The truth is, a woman doesn't want a man she can manage. She wants a man who makes her rise. Someone who's not afraid to challenge her, to disagree, to say, that doesn't work for me. That edge, that self-respect. That's what she remembers when she closes her eyes. Stop trying to be the default option. Stop waiting for her to come around. The more invisible you make your needs to please her, the more invisible you become. Remember, being nice isn't a strategy. It's a starting point. What makes you desirable isn't how sweet you are, it's how much you value yourself. So, if you're the guy she vents to about her boyfriend, it's time to stop listening and start leading. 4. Seeking validation kills attraction. Let's clear something up. Wanting to feel appreciated, totally normal. It's human. Everyone likes hearing they matter. But needing validation, especially from her, is a different animal entirely. When you constantly seek her praise, her approval, her emotional reassurance, you're not being confident. You're being dependent. And that energy, it turns her off fast. Here's how it plays out. You compliment her every day, hoping she says something back. You explain yourself every time she seems upset. You get anxious when she's not responding like usual. You try to fix the mood before it even becomes a problem. She doesn't see love in those moments. She sees fear, and fear doesn't inspire respect. Let's be real. When your identity leans on her reactions, you're not leading, you're following. You're giving her the emotional steering wheel, and no matter how kind or romantic your intentions are, she starts to sense it, you're not grounded. Women pick up on that vibe without even trying. If she feels like she's the one in charge of your confidence, she loses interest. Not because she's cruel, but because the polarity is gone. She's carrying the masculine energy now, and it drains her. You want her to feel something. Try this instead. Stand firm. Don't over-explain. Don't rush to fix. Don't fish for praise. Let silence sit. Let space do its job. Epictetus, one of the OG Stoics, said it perfectly. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Translation: you don't need everyone to get you, especially not in the heat of a relationship moment. A grounded man doesn't chase approval. He doesn't crumble when someone pulls away. He moves from principle, not panic. He says, I know who I am. If you get it, great. If not, I'll be just fine. And you know what happens when you stop chasing validation. She starts leaning in. She starts respecting you. Because your confidence isn't up for negotiation anymore. 5. Mystery beats consistency every time. This one might sound backward, but stay with me. If you've ever told yourself, I just need to show her I'm dependable, consistent always, they're thinking that would eventually win her heart. You're already playing the wrong game. Consistency without polarity. That's called monotony. And monotony is the graveyard of desire. Here's what happens. You send the good morning text. You check in by lunch. You plan the weekend by Wednesday. You compliment her outfit every time, and sure, you're being thoughtful, reliable, sweet. All things she says she wants. But underneath, she's numb. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because there's no emotional contrast. No tension, no spark. She knows exactly how you'll respond, what you'll say, how you'll behave. You've made yourself into a familiar script, and she's already read the ending. Now contrast that with mystery. Not game playing, not ghosting, but mystery. As in, you don't overshare everything. You don't always text first. You don't feel the need to check in constantly. You live your life with purpose, and she gets to witness it sometimes, not always. That subtle unpredictability, that's what keeps her thinking about you. Mystery isn't about being cold. It's about being interesting. It's about creating space where curiosity can live. When she has room to wonder what you're doing, what you're feeling, what you'll say next, that's when the spark lights. Ever watched a movie trailer that gave away the entire plot? Boring, right? Same deal. If she knows every emotional beat of your story, there's no reason to stay tuned. Marcus Aurelius didn't journal about being seen. He wrote about being, about showing up fully without needing to announce it. That's mystery in action. Presence without performance. You want to be remembered, leave room for her imagination. Hold a little back. Let her earn your full attention. 6. She wants a challenge, not a cheerleader. Here's where a lot of good men trip over their own intentions. They think if I support her, praise her, never disagree with her, treat her like a queen, she'll see I'm the one. And what happens? She gets bored, disconnected, restless. Why? Because she doesn't want to be worshipped. She wants to be met. And meeting her doesn't mean showering her with compliments or bending over backwards every time she's emotional. It means being solid enough to hold your ground. To say I love you, but I don't agree with that. To hold the line when she tries to push past your boundaries. Real challenge isn't combative. It's not about controlling her. It's about refusing to lose yourself in her. That's what she's actually craving, a man who brings strength to the table, who sees her fully beauty, flaws, moods, power, and doesn't get swept away in the storm. Have you ever found yourself saying what she wants to hear, even when you disagree, smiling to keep the peace, doing everything right, only to watch her grow colder over time? That's the worship trap. You're playing it safe to win her, but safety isn't sexy. Challenge her. Not with arrogance or aggression, but with presence, with clarity, with emotional maturity. Tell her no sometimes, not to punish her, but to remind both of you that you're not here to be managed. You're here to lead. And when you do that, when you challenge her to meet your standards, to rise with you, not dominate you, something shifts in her. She listens more closely. She watches you differently. She respects you on a deeper level. That's not dominance, that's polarity. And that polarity is what makes a relationship feel alive. Because she doesn't want a yes man. She wants a mirror, someone who reflects her strength, calls out her shadows, and meets her fire with his own. So no, don't put her on a pedestal. Stand beside her firmly, and if she can't meet you there, let her walk. The man you're becoming doesn't need to be liked every second. He needs to stay grounded in who he is. 7. Being needed isn't the same as being wanted. Let's finish this section with one of the deepest illusions men buy into the idea that if she needs you, she won't leave. It sounds noble, masculine, strong. Be the one she leans on, the one who catches her when she falls. But here's the problem. Need doesn't create desire. It creates dependence. And dependence doesn't last. She might cling to you when she's going through something. She might lean on you emotionally, financially, or physically when her world is shaky. But as soon as her life starts to stabilize, as soon as she feels back in control, she might disappear. And that's when the realization hits: she didn't want you. She just needed you. And when the need faded, so did she. That's why building a connection based on being useful is dangerous. Because it's temporary, conditional. You become a tool in her toolbox, not a man in her heart. You want to feel chosen. Be the man she reaches for when she's calm, when she's happy, when she doesn't need anything but still wants you. That's real power. That's real pull. And the man who gets that, he doesn't try to be her rescuer. He doesn't show up just to feel important. He builds a life so strong, so full, so magnetic, that she's drawn to it, even when her own is stable. Be that man. Wanted, not used. Valued, not just necessary. 8. The less you react, the more she feels. Here's a concept that most men were never taught growing up. When you react less, she feels more. It's counterintuitive, right? You're told to be emotionally available, to respond quickly, to show her you care by always being there, by always reacting. But that's not how desire works. In reality, when you're too reactive, too available, too emotionally immediate, you strip the relationship of tension. You make her feel like she's emotionally leading. And that's not what she's craving. What women respond to most isn't your eagerness, it's your composure. When she's upset, when she's cold, when she pulls back or starts testing your boundaries, she doesn't want a man who panics. She doesn't want a man who texts 10 times or folds his own standards just to make her smile again. She wants to feel that you don't flinch. Because if she can move you too easily, if she can press your emotional buttons and watch you unravel, she stops respecting your center. She sees that she has more control over your peace than you do, and that's a huge turnoff. Instead, imagine this: she throws an emotional jab. She withdraws for a day. She sends a passive-aggressive message. And instead of chasing, apologizing, or over-explaining, you pause. You stay calm, present, silent even. And in that silence, something powerful happens. She feels it. Not because you're playing games, but because your lack of reaction creates a space for her to reflect, for her emotions to breathe, for her to feel the weight of your presence, not your panic. This is what the ancient Stoics called ataraxia, inner tranquility. The kind of unshakable peace that doesn't respond to every emotional gust of wind. And it's magnetic. When she realizes she can't throw you off balance, she starts leaning in. She starts wondering about you, thinking about you, because your stillness is rare, and rare is unforgettable. So the next time you feel the urge to react, breathe. Pause. Let the tension sit. Not forever, just long enough to let her come back to you. Your power is in your presence, not your performance. 9. If she doesn't earn you, she won't value you. This part is going to sting, but it needs to be said. If she didn't have to earn you, she won't respect you. A lot of men give too much too fast. Not just gifts or time, but their hearts, their loyalty, their emotional energy. They hand it over like it's a free sample, hoping that if they just give enough, she'll see their worth. But it doesn't work like that. What's given too easily is rarely valued. Think about it. If someone hands you a trophy without making you run the race, how much does it mean to you? That's how she feels when she doesn't have to show up for your attention, when she doesn't have to bring anything to the table, when you're emotionally invested before she's even tried. She starts seeing you not as a prize, but as a placeholder, someone who's just there. And the more you chase, the less she invests. The more you give, the less she gives back, because in her mind, you're just trying to be chosen. But men who are truly high value don't wait to be chosen. They set the standard. That doesn't mean you play hard to get or act distant. It means you move with discernment. You pay attention to who's actually showing up for you, not just taking what you give. You make her earn access to your world, to your time, to your heart. Not because you're arrogant, but because you finally understand your value. Let her prove that she's interested. Let her show you consistency. Let her earn deeper layers of you piece by piece. Because what we earn, we protect. What we're handed without effort, we eventually discard. So stop offering yourself like a discount item hoping she'll see the deal. Be the standard that makes her rise to meet you, not the fallback she takes for granted. 10. Emotional detachment is your superpower. Let's finish with a trait that separates grounded men from emotional puppets, emotional detachment. Now, before your mind jumps to cold or uncaring, let's redefine what this really means. Emotional detachment isn't about shutting down. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's not going full robot mode just to avoid getting hurt. No, it's about having control over your emotional world, not being controlled by it. It's the ability to stay centered even when things get chaotic, to remain solid when she pulls back, when life gets messy, when your heart is triggered. Because here's the truth, the more emotionally hooked you are on her validation, her reactions, her presence, the more power she holds over you. And the more power she holds, the less respect she feels. You want to be unshakable. You've got to stop letting her mood dictate your value. When she pulls away, you stay still. When she tests you, you don't flinch. When things feel uncertain, you lead with calm, not desperation. That's emotional detachment. Not numbness, not disconnection, just restraint. Just being the eye in the storm while everything around you moves. And ironically, it's that stillness, that emotional independence that pulls her in harder than any sweet text or romantic gesture ever could. Because she knows deep down you're not trying to win her approval. You've already approved of yourself. That's the man she can't forget. That's the man she can trust. And that's the man she respects. So how do you build this detachment? You train it. You sit with discomfort instead of running from it. You hold your frame when she pushes. You feel the emotional pull and stay grounded anyway. Every time you don't chase after a cold message, you grow stronger. Every time you let her have space without begging for connection, you build power. Every time you choose peace over performance, you become magnetic. Because emotional detachment isn't about hiding, it's about owning. Owning your reactions, owning your frame, owning your power. And when you finally get there, everything changes. You become the man who doesn't need to be needed. You become the man who walks through the world with quiet strength. And you become the man who inspires not by doing more, but by being more. Let her feel that. And let yourself feel what it's like to no longer be ruled by how she sees you. Because once you stop needing her to validate you, you start becoming the man she can't stop thinking about. You made it to the end. That says something. You're not just here for quick dating tips or surface-level advice. You're here because you want to grow for real. And if that's your mission, then this space is yours. Subscribe, stick around, and step deeper into the work. Not for women, for you. Because when you evolve, everything else follows. Until next time, stay calm, stay grounded, and never hand your power to anyone.